What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. I'm going to be showing you how to do a shadow fade with the Combover today. And right now, I'm creating my initial guideline that I'm going to be using. I did that by creating a horseshoe shape on top of the head with a parting. The reason why I did that is I wanted to keep it even and I wanted to keep that guideline pretty smooth. And what I'm doing right now is I'm just following up with the number 3 guard, flicking out, and I'm holding that comb on top of the hairs to keep them in place so they don't pop up. And then what I'm going to be doing is just debulking this a little bit, getting a clean surface, and following up immediately with a lever open, no guard. And the reason why I'm doing this is to create that shadow effect. It'll give you that 5 o'clock shadow at the bottom of the fade, where it's not all the way down to the skin, but it's still a little bit stubbly. And then following right back up with my half guard. The reason why I'm doing this is because I want to create that second guideline to where I can blend into at the bottom of the fade. So it's going to go from the shadow fade right up into the half guard, and I've got the lever open on it so that it's a little bit darker, and I can still see where I'm blending at and what I need to eliminate to create that smooth blend from the lever open with no guard. And all I'm going to be doing is working down from the blend, and I'm just slowly closing the lever and slowly blending down, making sure not to go up higher than my most previous blend. And now I've got my one guard all the way open, and I'm just going to slowly close the lever until that guard is all the way closed, blending in that guideline that you see right there. And now that the guidelines pretty much all the way blend in, I just threw on my half guard, and I'm going through, lightening up dark spots, trying to do some detail work, just trying to make sure that that blend is nice and smooth and there isn't any dark areas, everything looks even, just trying to fine tune this side before I go to the other side. And what I'm going to be doing right here is just some clipper over comb work. And the reason why I'm doing this is because I want to lighten up that parietal ridge area. There's a shelf right there with longer hair, and I don't want it to be as harsh of a guideline. And when the hair grows back, I don't want it to give a mushroom effect where it kind of poofs out on top of that parietal ridge. I'm just going to be taking down the tips of the hair, slowly trimming down a little bit more and more, just so that it can blend in smoothly, and it gives it that, that flush blend. So it's not too dark, but it's also not too light. You still want to leave a little bit of length so that it's still got a darkness effect to it. And as you can see, it goes from the lever open all the way up to that parietal ridge, and it's looking great. Now I'm bouncing on over to the other side, and instead of creating the initial guideline with shears, I'm going to be using a number 3 guard. The reason why I'm doing this is because this is the side where the hair is going to be laying. That top hair will need to be blended into the side, and I don't want to create too harsh of a guideline with the shears. So what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be sectioning this side of the head and do 3 points. I'm going to be making a guideline directly behind the ear, going straight down. That'll split the back of the colic and the back portion of the head. And the reason why I'm doing this is because I want to kind of create layers, and this will cause a shelf effect where it blends in smoothly. So I'm going to go from the corner of the crown all the way to that far left corner right below the recession point, and then I'm going to comb it down. And with that initial guideline that I created with the guard, I'm going to comb the hair down into my fingers, and I'm going to pull away from the head a little bit, and I'm going to scissor cut the tips. And the reason why I'm doing this is because it's going to create a flush blend from that top guideline into the hair that's going to be combed over. So right here you can see the excess hair that needs to be trimmed, and I'm just slowly going through in this triangle parting that I created, this section, and I'm going to be doing this 2 other times until I get to the top of that. And right here I'm going to be doing the same thing. I'm going to create the same section. I'm going to create that triangle, and I'm going to do it for the second time. I'm going to comb the hair down into my fingers, looking for that previous guideline, trim the excess hair, and I'm going to do it one more time. And right here, this is the 3rd triangle section that I'm going to create. Just combing the hair down and just getting the excess hair that hangs over the previous guideline that you're creating when you're scissor cutting this hair. And as you can see, it's laying down pretty smooth. It's blending in nicely. And now I'm going to be focusing on a little bit of detail work, just trying to make sure that everything's even, getting anything that I see that's excess. You don't want to have any longer hairs sticking out, because then it'll create too much weight and it won't look proportioned. And right now I'm going to be cutting that excess hair from the parting that I created from behind the ear, and I'm just going to be going to the center of the head. This way there's no weight in the back corners of the head where that crown area is, and it won't give it like a mushroom effect in those back right corners of the head. That way, you know, it won't poke out when it grows back as well. And now I'm just following up on this side with my clipper. Got it lever open, just creating that shadow effect, taking it all the way down to the back. And I'm just going to be following the exact same steps that I did on the other side, on this side of the head, until everything's blended in. Alright, I just used my 1.5 guard previously, and now I'm currently following up with my 1 guard with the lever open. And I'm just going to slowly blend down, slowly close the lever until the lever's all the way closed and that bottom line is starting to get blended out. Now that the left side of the head is done, I'm going to be working on the back part of the head, tying both sides together. And I'm going to start off by using my shears, just cleaning up this back portion of the crown, just making sure that everything's blended. And I'm going to be tying in the that back of the colic area into the 2 sides that I did. And I'm just making sure that everything's brushed properly, laying the right way. And as you can see, it's starting to look good. So I take my clippers, and now I'm just going to slowly blend down all the way to that shadow and make sure that everything's looking nice and even so that it all blends smooth. Now that I've done blending down, what I'm going to do is I'm going to bald out the back of the neck. I don't want to create a hard line, and I don't want to square out that neckline. Typically, whenever there's a shadow fade, or if there's anything other than a bald fade, I typically like to bald out the back of the neck and create a taper effect, just so that it gives it gives a better transition, and you don't have that separation from the neck and the haircut. It kind of just gives it that smooth blend that ties everything in together. Right now I'm going to be tying in that comb over, and this is going to be how I create that nice smooth blend from the length of the hair up top into the sides. I'm just combing everything over to see where the natural hair growth is going to lay. I'm going to visualize it, and then I'm going to, decide how to cut it. And there's a couple different ways that you can do it. Depending on how full that front hairline is, I attack it a little bit differently. So right now I'm just sectioning off the bang area, And what I'm doing is I'm creating that section from recession point to recession point in the front of the hair and combing it forward. And I'm going to create a diagonal cut from the right recession point because that's where the hair is going to be laying. And I'm going to go diagonally to the left, still keeping some length and not just going straight over. That way it gives it a layering effect and it lays good and proper. Right now, I'm just following that guideline. I'm combing everything over to the right side of the head, right where the hair starts to, not the hair, but right where the skull starts to curve from the side of the head right onto the top, which is the parietal ridge. I'm cutting along that. And what I'm going to be doing is combing the hair to the right, and I'm combing it into my fingers, but what I'm doing is I'm curving my fingers to the shape of the skull, as you can see. And right there I was just showing you guys the overhang, and I'm going to do this all the way to the back of the like that crown area, just making sure everything's laying smooth. I'll make one pass, work up a little bit higher, and work up even higher until I get to the top of the head, and then I will cut it a little bit different. And once I get to the top of the head, I'm gonna try and keep my fingers as perpendicular as possible and keep it even with that top part of the head. And the reason why I'm doing this is because I want the top hairs to be even, but I want the sides to have a little bit of shape and curvature to what the skull shape is. And as you can see right here, this is where I'm trying to keep my fingers perpendicular as possible, starting from the right side, working my way to the left side. I'm looking at his forehead, so I'm going to be working from right to left. And now I'm attacking that colic area, and I like to leave the colic area for the end so that I don't ever go too short right there. Just starting from the right, slowly working my way to the left, just following the guidelines that I have previously created from cutting. And as you can see, I'm still leaving it long, not going too short, because if you go too short with the colic, the hair will stand up and it'll porcupine out. And this is another trick that I like to do whenever I'm working with the comb over. Sometimes that the hair on the furthest side of the comb over isn't always even, so I'll create a 1-inch section in a parting. I'll go straight towards the forehead, and I'll trim up some of those hairs just so that they're not falling too far towards the middle of the head. And it just gives it a cleaner look, keeps it nice and clean, and you don't really have too much unevenness. But as you can see, that's how we're doing. And this right here, just doing the lineup. As you can see, since he did get a shadow, you're going to get that nice little shadow lineup. It's not going to be too prominent, won't be too dark, but you'll still be able to see the lineup. Just remember not to press too hard on the skin. I like to use my trimmers bumped up to pretty much zero gapped, but I don't push hard. I just let the clipper do the work, try and just brush the trimmer right on the skin and not to push too hard. As you can see, it's creating that line. It's got a distinct little line right there, not too dark. Just following it around the ear, just making sure not to push that hairline up too much, and just trying to keep it as tight to the ear as possible. And now I'm going to style it. What I'm doing is I'm using a round comb, and when you use a round comb, you want to make sure to use that flat brush flat blow dryer attachment, and you want to brush the hair into the comb. That way it gives it control. You have more even blow drying throughout the hair, and it won't blow the hair all over the place. You're pretty much directing it into that roundness of the comb. And this right here, I'm using Slick Gorilla. I'm using their light work, the paste. I really love this stuff. It's a lightweight product, but it's got a good hold. It's got like a medium to a firm hold. And I'm just going to be doing a jellyfish effect in the hair. I'm not rubbing it all into the hair at once. I'm slowly spreading it throughout the hair, kind of like jellyfishing my fingers. And I'm just going to, style it into position and to make sure everything's looking even. I add it into the hair in between the hair being damp and dry. I feel it gives it the best effect, and it adheres to the hair the best. So that's the haircut. Let me know what you guys think. That's a shadow fade and a comb over. As you can see, you know, we left the top of the parietal ridge a little bit darker, got that shadow fade, styled the hair, and that's the cut. Let me know what you guys think, and I hope you guys enjoyed. We're able to learn some tips and tricks. Tune in for the next video. Take it easy, y'all.